Welcome to round 3 of our F1 2005 career mode. In the last race at Malaysia, we won our first race for Jordan, which has put us at the top of the drivers' standings. That doesn't tell the full picture because we're the only driver who's really put two races together. McLaren qualified 1 and 2 in Australia, qualified 1 and 2 again for the Malaysian Grand Prix, but they both had mechanical failures, so a massive 18 points potentially for McLaren lost in the Malaysian Grand Prix. So Raikkonen and Alonso are joint in second place on 10. Barrichello and Schumacher, it's not been the greatest start to the season for Ferrari, to be quite honest. Schumacher in neither race finishing on the podium, qualifying 4th both times, finishing 5th in Australia, 4th in Malaysia. Rubens Barrichello has qualified 5th in both races and got a podium last time out in Malaysia. And interestingly, the podium finishers have been unique in the first two races. So it was Raikkonen, Montoya and Alonso in the first race. Obviously, McLaren thwarted by that DNF in the last race. It was ourselves, Fisichella and Barrichello on the podium. But Bahrain, this is only its second year in 2005, still as a day race at this point. In 2026 now, I'd guess there's been more night run-ins of this Grand Prix than there have been in the daytime. I've made a slight change to the webcam settings so that the webcam delay is hopefully a little bit more akin to the gameplay, because I was noticing when editing last time out that maybe the webcam and the voice was a little bit before the gameplay, so I'm trying to just tweak that a little bit, particularly with this PS2, possibly being a little bit different to what would normally be on Xbox One. But I'm excited for this third race in Bahrain. Leave a like below if you are as well. But we're going to jump straight into qualifying, which, for anybody following this series for the first time, it is an aggregate qualifying system. So you set 2 lap times on Saturday and then on Sunday, and the two add together to determine your qualifying position. Something that adds some jeopardy, and we saw that in the last time out in Malaysia. Despite a good lap on Sunday, a bad lap on Saturday only put us P15. So because we won last time out, we have got the option of setting our lap time at last, and it's a Ferrari 1-2 actually at the moment, with Kimi Raikkonen third. Christian Klein in that Red Bull, he is really turning up. He qualified 6th in Australia, not so good last time out, 11th in the last race, but he's got a nice margin, hasn't he, to those guys behind. He's got nearly a second to his teammate David Coulthard, so it looks like he could possibly be on the front row again, but I would like to target that top 10. I think that's more than achievable with the pace we were setting in practice. Let's see how we get on. Well, that could be deja vu from Malaysia again, getting a bad run on the start-finish straight on the start of this lap. I think we could be on the money here. 31, 32, 33. That's a good lap. I think that might even be top of the pops, despite a bad start to the lap. Yeah, that's top. Not a great first sector, but we made a lot of time up in that second sector, nearly a second quicker than the rest of the field. So interested to see how the lap can unfold between ourselves and the AI drivers. So we go into Sunday with potentially our first pole position of the season. And a bit contrary to what we've seen in the other sessions so far, there hasn't been a massive change between Saturday and Sunday. Kimi Raikkonen with a good lap has managed to split the two Ferrari drivers. He's had the time of the day, but two consistent times. In fact, Christian Klein set in 2 very consistent times, exactly the same in Q1 as Q2, if you like Saturday and Sunday qualifying. That's quite unbelievable consistency, and that puts him a net P4 at the moment. That would be a really strong start for the Red Bull team. Renault, that's decent for them, 5 and 6. Felipe Massa, once again, is doing a really good job in that Sauber. He's in 7th at the moment, qualified 6th in the last race, could be demoted to P8. But Juan Pablo Montoya, 2 second place qualifying so far, that could only be 10th for him. We've just got to make sure that we don't set a lap time that's much worse than the one we set yesterday, and it looks like we could be on pole position, and I'm really surprised that even on this hard AI setting, we seem to be setting the pace. We've got such a margin that I think a 34.5, a low 134.5 anyway, would still get us pole position. So we've got a lot of margin here. We've just got to make sure we don't make any silly mistakes. Is it going to be a 34.5? It's going to be close. I think we might be knocked off pole. 34.7, so I don't think that's quite going to be pole position. I didn't think that was a bad lap, actually. It was a little bit scruffy in parts, so that actually demotes us to P4. So not a good day for us today, but it does make the race a little bit more interesting. That's not to say I jeopardised that. That was our pace there. Where did it all go wrong? The first sector we have been slower throughout the weekend, so I'm not worried about that. The top 3 setting exactly the same time in the second sector, but still P4. Christian Klein in P5. If you look at our pace, that was exactly the same lap time as Jenson Button's set. So still a relatively competitive lap time, but it was our gap on Saturday, which meant that we are 4th in qualifying, as opposed to last weekend when it was our bad lap time on Saturday, which really exposed us to the bottom half of the grid. So a good race being set up here. We've got Rubens Barrichello, Kimi Räikkönen and Michael Schumacher, the top 3. So starting on the inside, could get a good run down into turn 1 possibly. The lights are out and we're away. It's a good start for Kimi Räikkönen as well. We haven't had the best start there. The Red Bull of Christian Klein getting round our outside temporarily. We're not going to take too many risks going to the first corner. Nudge Christian Klein while we're at it, but nothing too dramatic going on there. We've got a good run out of the second corner. We nudge Christian Klein again. We're being pushed to the outside. We're not too strong in this first sector, so the 3 ahead are getting away a little bit. We brake late into the next, and God, we've had another touch. I think that must be Christian Klein once again, but we finally managed to clear Christian Klein, but it's all as it was at the start, I believe, at the front. We've got Michael Schumacher in P3, Kimi Räikkönen in P2 and Rubens Barrichello in P1. This is the sector where we reign supreme, so we need to make the most of this second sector. Look at the gap already to Christian Klein down the bottom of the screen. He's been hounded by the Renault of Fisichella, as you might expect, but it looks like he's got a good gap to the rest of the guys behind, so the Red Bull team might be on for a point today. We're going to lap brake late and go up the inside of Michael Schumacher. Tap wheels with him, but we've managed to secure P3. That's good. From memory, I don't know if we were that good in the last sector, actually. I think it might be our second sector, which is supreme over the rest of the AI. That's not going to cut it, though, going like that into that corner. Again, we have contact with Michael Schumacher. As I said in the last race, I'm sure we've got damage on, but for some reason, we don't seem to be damaging the car, despite more than a few scuffs. But look at the run on the mini-map. That's just the straight line speed of that Ferrari, and that is very much a nudge into Michael Schumacher there. The damage model certainly isn't there on this game, and Michael got past on the straight, but we managed to get him back in the corner, and it's quite a gap that Rubens Barrichello is pulling at the front of the field. I think this is actually, unless I'm getting mistaken between the race we did in Australia on medium with Jordan, I feel like this was the top 2, wasn't it? Barrichello and Kimi Räikkönen. Not been a great start to the season for Michael Schumacher, to be honest. No podiums in the first 2. Rubens Barrichello's took a podium, and he is, I think he's level on points. Yeah, he's level on points with Michael at the moment. And with a win today, that would really help Ferrari's cause. A first and a fourth would do very nicely for them. The other McLaren of Juan Pablo Montoya just not being up there despite having a really good time in the first 2 races. It's Kimi Räikkönen that's keeping the McLaren end up here. We've cruised up behind Kimi here. We're going to get the run through this right-hander. We got Michael Schumacher, of course. I'm just trying to make sure we don't hit any sort of oil, so we're going to back out of that move, because there's no point making an opportunistic move and then having oil on the track and spinning round. So I've backed out of that one. Don't know who's retired. We have had a retirement, but you can just see how good we are in that second sector. We were 7/10 off Kimi Räikkönen going into that second sector, which I thought, well, maybe with that gap we might well be there or thereabouts. It's through those medium pace corners, the same as what we saw in Malaysia. The AI just haven't got what it takes through those corners, unfortunately. Whoa, that was nearly a spin. We just need to get our discipline back here a bit. Oh, it's really not going well here. Gone wide again. We just seem to have lost our rhythm. I've spoke about that in the first couple of episodes. Once I seem to lose rhythm, I seem to make more and more mistakes. And actually, the Renault is really quick. I'm guessing that's Fisichella. They're both 5th and 6th. I don't know which one it is behind Michael Schumacher. But the Renault was really coming to this battle. The second Renault was overtook Christian Klein as well. So it looks like it could be a decent day for Renault. But ultimately, 5th and 6th, probably they'd be wanting a little bit more out of this Grand Prix. Well, the gap to the leader, Barrichello, is 5.4, and the reason it's showing that gap to the leader is that Kimi Räikkönen's decided to pit early on lap 4. So has Michael Schumacher as well. Neither of the Renaults going for that strategy, so they're not interested in that. Interesting to see a pit stop as early as lap 4. From what we saw in the first 2 races, I guess it'd be the same here. No pit stop for tyres, just fuel. That's Rubens into the pits then at the end of lap 5. So we take the lead temporarily. I don't think we're going to have it come the next lap, because Rubens was, I think, 5 seconds clear. So to make that on an overcut, I can't see that happening at all. Really good recovery for Renault though, particularly Giancarlo Fisichella. He's only 2.6 seconds behind us at the moment. with Michael not having the best pace, and given that he was only on those 4 laps of fuel to start with, I wouldn't be surprised if Fisichella jumps him in the pits. Whoa! Again, unfortunately, well, say unfortunately, it was actually fortunately the curb saved us. The last couple of laps haven't been great for us, but that could have been a real adventure if we'd have been spun around. I don't know if spin recovery's on. It feels like it was there because that was very much a dramatic correction to get us back. There's been a second retirement in this race. Fisichella is now only 7/10 of a second behind us, so it is quite probable that Fisichella could jump us in the pits, and there's no guarantees that we get out ahead of Michael Schumacher, who we were ahead of before all of this started. No problem getting jumped by Fisichella. The top 2 are out ahead of us. There's Michael Schumacher in P5. Is that Patrick Friesacker in P4? I don't even recognise the logo behind, such is the lack of time that we see it. I think that is the Minardi beautifully holding up Michael Schumacher for us. I don't know what happened to Fisichella in that pit stop, because bear in mind he was only half a second behind us or something like that going into the pits, and he's a long way behind now, but the Minardi still holding up Michael Schumacher. It is Patrick Friesacker. I feel like might be jinxing myself here, but I feel like this is going to be the only time we see Patrick Friesacker in this career mode, and he's doing a lovely job holding Michael Schumacher up. Kimi Räikkönen, where's Kimi gone? Has he retired again? Because Barrichello is nearly 7 seconds clear, and I thought by that Kimi had jumped him in the pits, but I don't think that's Kimi Räikkönen out in front of him. So has there been another mechanical failure? Don't think we're going to be able to get the win today. I think that's going to be too far out of our reach. Barrichello, was he 7 seconds ahead? We'll have 5 laps to go at the end of this one, so we've got to be at least, 7 seconds ahead. We've got to be more than a second a lap quicker, and running wide like that isn't going to do us any sort of favours. I can't believe that Michael still hasn't cleared Patrick Friesacker. It just shows, like the cleared train we had, that if you get held up in traffic in this game, we're being really sloppy now. You get held up in traffic in this game, it is absolutely criminal. I think Michael has just about managed to get past Friesacker, but it's been a whole lap he's been behind. I think it is Kimi Räikkönen that's retired again. Unbelievable. So that's 2 mechanical failures in 3 rounds, you would assume. Very much akin to what happened to Kimi in the 2004 season in real life. Did pretty well, but a disaster for reliability for him. And given his teammates not really competitive today, this early McLaren pace in the season, that's going to be what? So that's 18 points in the last race. Another 8 today potentially lost. 26 points in the first 3 rounds gone because of reliability failures. But what is McLaren's loss is Jordan and Ferrari's gain. Look at that gap now to Rubens Barrichello. He's way out in front, more than 10 seconds because of that scruffy last sector we had. So I think it's bye-bye to the win today. A possible P2, but we've got a fast Michael Schumacher and now Giancarlo Fisichella breathing down our necks, so any mistakes and we could be off the podium. So we've got Alonso P5, I think that's Massa in P6, possibly 2 Saubers in the top 8, so good weekend for them. Our fastest lap of the race so far by a 10th of a second, so that looks a little bit better for us. Who's that that's gone wide? I've been completely distracted there. Is that the Minardi? Hang on, can we get replays in this game? I don't even know. Yeah, replay. I'm wondering whether Friesacker's retired because we actually can't ride on board with the Minardi, but I don't know how he'd be there. So it looked like somebody doing donuts in the runoff area. I mean, I suppose he is way behind Patrick Friesacker, so he's not going to get any points. So he might as well have some fun at this Grand Prix circuit. But that's a bit extreme. There's still 18 drivers in the race, so God knows what happened there, or whether that was just a figure that I've seen that wasn't really there. Looks like a solitary point for Montoya. I think he's behind the second Sauber, if it is the Sauber in P7. I'm sure Massa would be up there. I'm not sure about Heidfeld. I can't remember where Heidfeld qualified, but a solitary point for Montoya. So not the best recovery from him from where he qualified, considering that his teammates gone out as well of this race. I think he qualified 10th, didn't he, Montoya? So it'd have been 9th with that. Yeah, there's 3 retirements there, so I can guess that's possibly going to be Friesacker going out of the race. That's the only logic for what was going on there at turn 1. That's a big error. That is a big error, but we're okay. Nearly spun out, coming out of T3, but we avoided the wall. It has been our mistakes really today. Would it have been 11 seconds of mistakes? Possibly. But it's just as well that Michael Schumacher is a long way behind his teammate. Of course, that was very much helped by the fact that that Patrick Friesacker held him up so much. But even so, if you think, a couple of seconds probably that held him up. Barrichello has been well clear of Michael Schumacher in this race. That is quite a story. Get back on the track. That's been coming, you know. Just been making too many mistakes. Getting too wide into the corners. And that one has come back to bite. So there was just no way of getting back on the track quick enough. And that gravel restricts you to a certain speed. So now we've been demoted to P3. And come the end of the season, a couple of points that we could lose to Michael Schumacher. I mean, come on. Going wide out the last corner as well. We could drop off the podium if we're not careful. We know that the other teams are quicker on the straights than we are. But look at what this lap time's going to be, just to show how much time we've lost. We've done a fastest of a 1:34.4, 1:40.1 now. So we've got to really dial in to get... to be honest, I think that gap might be too much anyway. 2.4 seconds. We're just not at the races here. Be lucky to stay on to P3. So I think maybe rather than looking in front, we've got to focus on what's behind. Could we just do it? I think this is going to be a decent lap for us, but possibly a little bit too far away from, 2.7. I think it'd have to be the lap of our lives to retake P2 from Michael Schumacher. But with a 2.3 second gap to Giancarlo Fisichella, then barring we don't make any really stupid mistakes, then I think we're on for our second podium of the season. Yeah, we got him somewhat in the second sector, but nowhere near enough. A couple of seconds behind Schumacher. Fortunately, Fisichella is a long way behind, so we've just got to get this last corner right. Going to be nice and tentative going into the last corner, and that will secure a second podium of the season. I can be a bit frustrated that really we should have got second, maybe without those mistakes adding up. We could have potentially got the win today, but more consistency, another podium, 2 podiums in a row now after that win in Malaysia, and at the end of the day it's more points gained over the McLarens, which look like the pace cars so far. The McLarens, the Ferraris, the Renaults are sort of up there, but I think in the eye of consistency, which we haven't seen from any team so far, it's been 3 different constructors winning in 3 races. Yeah, it's Jacques Villeneuve in P7, so is he Massa's teammate? I keep getting, Villeneuve is in the Sauber, so yeah, a good points total for Sauber. I keep thinking Heifeld's in that Sauber for some reason. Montoya with a solitary point, Sato, a decent recovery for him, Mark Webber in P10, so a decent race for him, not quite matching the points he got last time out, but 3 Bridgestone runners on the podium. Christian Klein, despite a really good qualifying, way down in P11, and it was Jenson Button in the BAR, Kimi Räikkönen once again with what you can assume is a mechanical failure, and Patrick Friesacker, the 3 not to finish. Carver Kane beat Christian Albers, get in there. Christian Klein though once again with a train of cars behind him. So in the World Championship, we are still top, but Rubens Barrichello only a couple behind us, and Michael Schumacher only a couple behind him. Kimi Räikkönen only been on 10 points. Feels like a massive robbery. He's lost, I think, 18 points. I think he was out in the front of the field in Malaysia, so a massive robbery for him. He would be a long way clear, but as it is, only 10 points for him, and it's looking nice for us after the first few rounds, but Barrichello is only a couple behind us. Jacques Villeneuve gets, I think, his first points of the season, so he gets a couple. The rest, though, still not score. Only 11 drivers after the first 3 races scoring points. And a very good day for Ferrari today with a 1-2. And in the Constructors, that puts them clear. Renault in P2. We move it to P3, courtesy of McLaren only getting a solitary point today. Sauber, good start to them for the season in P8 with 8 points in P5. BAR Honda, a bit of reliability plaguing Jenson Button's point scoring totals, and BMW Williams, it was Mark Webber, wasn't it, that got a point in Malaysia last time out. And you've got Toyota, Red Bull and Minardi, the 3 teams not to score so far. So another podium celebration, and it's the 2 drivers in red alongside us. Another solid weekend. I think that's what we're going to need throughout this season. Probably if we were on the pace every lap at 100%, we could have won that race. But looking at, it's a pretty competitive landscape. You've got the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Renaults, you would say, the 2 McLarens. Anybody else up there? I think it is the top 6 plus us, with some surprise appearances from the likes of Jenson Button possibly. So we go to Imola next. I love Imola. 13 lap race, so a little bit more than what we've had previously. Let's have a quick look in the inbox. So the team, again, very happy with our great work. We're only expected, where are we expected to finish this season? Between 13th and 16th, so we're very easily going to do that, I think. I don't think there's any complaints with that. Looking forward to this season. It's been a good start to it for us. 2 podium finishes, and in the first race a P4. And if you're enjoying this series and want to see more, make sure to put a like down below, leave a comment as well, and subscribe for regular F1 content. It all helps the algorithm find the channel and bring new viewers in. But thank you for your company in today's video, and we'll be back in a few days' time for the San Marino Grand Prix.